I was watching a documentary about evangelicals on HBO, and oh my God, just the Midwest and what's going on. It was just these people driving through and videotaping all these giant crosses and the Lord will come, giant billboards everywhere, and then going to these church things that are in 35,000 seat arenas.
Wow.
Where a minister, whatever it is, gets up there, starts yapping, and the people do that. Look, they put their arms up, shut their eyes, and look up with a big smile on their face. And then they ask him, why does everybody look so happy? and they answer like, well, we know that life is eternal through Jesus, and we have great family lives, and bloody, bloody, blah.
Right.
And why wouldn't anybody be happy? And they got to put a little disclaimer at the bottom that one of the ministers they were talking to was removed for sexual misconduct. It's just like, of course he was. Of course he was. They all look like these creepy, ghoulish, something's fucking wrong with them.
Were they white guys
guys
or black guys?
I did not see one black fellow in the entire documentary. The best, though, was, because they show, everybody knows about Christian rock bands and whatnot. The best was, Jimmy, the Christian comic. This guy was a hoot.
Oh, we got it.
Let me tell you, was he funny?
So let's play some clips of this.
Yeah, I would love to hear the Christian comic.
The Christian comic.
How do we hear this guy?
He's probably on there, yeah. But is that the guy?
name?
He's got a little spiky hairdo or something. He's like preaching, and just because of the way he's delivering it, he thinks it's funny.
Is it?
And the people in the crowd are like, no.
Are they laughing?
Yes. Is it? I don't know if that's him.
You got to realize, I grew up ultra conservative Christian, ultra conservative. Like very, very conservative. Like we didn't. In fact, that's been cool about traveling around and seeing different churches and how people worship God. Again, the creativity of God is amazing. Like I never seen anybody sing with their hands up till the first tour. We were talking about it during the break, but the first tour I did was with Clay Cross, and I did a 15-minute bit, and I started walking up the aisle, and Clay got up and started singing "I Surrender All." And I remember walking by this lady who was so lost in worship that she was singing with her hands up, lifting holy hands to God. And I never seen that before when I walked by her, and I just, didn't know what she was doing. I know. I thought she wanted a high five.
That's your Christian comedy. It's not quite compelling.
Not my style, but I will say this. As poorly as he would do in front of my crowd, I would do in front of his.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That you should fucking get a gig.
Dude,
shit!
And just film the whole thing and just do your entire act.
You would be
change your name,
just
make believe you're a
killed.
brand new Christian comic.
You'd be
on the
killed.
scene.
They would.
Must suck to sound like that and have to avoid dick
Yeah.
Avoid the cack.
because of God.
Yeah.
Because of the God.
Well, a few of them don't, from what I was saying. And then the brainwashing that goes on with the kids. Oh, it's amazing. They had this little seminar for children, and they were talking about dinosaurs. Oh, Uncle Paul.
Oh, that the people that don't believe in dinosaurs?
The dinosaur things, and they had like this guy singing these songs. The dinosaurs were made 1,000 years ago, with and hung around with humans, and the little kids are clapping, and then they ask him questions like, "Do you believe in evolution?" They're like, "No, God created everything in 6 days," and you cannot tell them that dinosaurs are millions, if not billions, of years old. That fossils they can tell where they came from, the dates they came from. Bones, things like that. You can't tell them because people, scientists are people, and people are fallible. They make mistakes. God, on the other hand, it cannot make a mistake, so he's right, and the people are wrong. Well, thank you. Good night.
This is why they're so phony and irritating. Because now that Danny just pulled up a cool picture of someone showing like a Christ-like figure on a green dinosaur.
Jesus, riding a velociraptor or something.
As time went on, they could no longer deny like dinosaurs.
Right.
They have to address it.
Yeah.
So now these assholes are saying like, yeah, the dinosaurs hung out with people.
With people.
And it's like they missed us by millions and millions of years.
Millions of years. They showed them actually, and you're right, because for years they denied the existence of dinosaurs as science fiction, some kind of wacky thing. But then when they couldn't do that anymore, they said, well, they're one of the animals. It's in the Bible. And the guy's going, do you know why the word dinosaur isn't in the Bible? And little kids, no, because it's the same reason the word computer isn't in the Bible. Or airplane isn't in the Bible. It's a new word, but you could read about behemoth creatures, and then of course they twist words around trying to make it seem like dinosaurs are written about in the Bible. And then they're showing pictures of a dinosaur pulling like a little wooden wagon and helping some guy farming.
That's hilarious.
It was a scream.
They're shoehorning
yes.
a 60 million year Jurassic era into a fucking Bible lesson.
I know. But these kids were all wide-eyed and brainwashed and being held by their parents who were just looking all crazily. Like, hey, religion's one thing. You want some faith.
Yeah, come on, guys.
You want a little spirituality. You want a little, insight on what might happen after you fucking drop dead. Whatever. But there is an extreme side to everything. And what I saw in this documentary was the extreme side where it was literal brainwashing of children and the weak. The sickly, the poor, people that have bottomed out. And that's pretty much what I saw. With those hands raised up and they're singing. They all know this. 35,000 people in an arena singing the same song. They all know the words. It was, and they said this happens every Sunday. 35,000 people fill this place every Sunday. It's church.
How big of a...
It's church. It's an arena. It's a friggin' arena.
I was listening to on the radio recently. I was flipping through looking for the World Series, and on one of the AM stations, this black preacher was on the same guy on two different AM stations. And like I listened to him for 10 seconds and turned him off because I'm like, I'm going to wind up getting hooked on this guy because he was so cool to listen to. It's like some of these guys are amazingly charismatic.
They know how to talk. That's what
Sam
That's what Sam Kinison did before he went into comedy.
They know how to get you.
They know how to get you. My question is, what percentage of America believes in the dinosaur thing? That's the scary part.
A lot.
Thank you.
That's
the
amazing.
scary part. You're talking like it might be a little tiny percentage of people, but it's widespread. We got a guy on the line that wants to talk about it and argue the other side.
Oh, I know.
I can't talk to these people.
I would like to hear his argument.
Here's a stat that they had. More people go to church on Sunday in the United States than attend every sporting event in the country.
Sure.
That
makes sense.
It's amazing.
People are going to church all over the place.
I know.
The numbers haven't dropped as much as they think they have.
And these people, this one guy was smiling. There's a resurgence in Christianity and evangelicalism and blah-de-blah. And just like, they got this weird smiles on their face.
Let's say hi to Scott in Jersey. Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Yeah. I just want to...
Hi, Scott.
I think that you need to get somebody on that can talk intelligently from the other side, because I don't think you think you have evidence for what you're talking about, and you just don't. I mean, I can give you 2 laws of physics that will disprove evolution in 2 seconds.
Oh, my God.
All right,
let's hear him.
Go ahead.
Let's
please,
hear him.
Please,
let's hear them.
Please enlighten.
By the way, you're very unpleasant. I said hi to you twice, and you don't even address the way a conversation starts.
Calm down. I didn't hear you.
I'm calm, Scott.
Right. But just please explain.
I'm going to explain.
Go ahead.
First of all, the chaos proof. Do you know anything about the chaos proof?
No, we don't.
No, enlighten.
Okay, what that is that if you add random energy to an ordered system, you can't get a more ordered system. That's number one.
What does that mean? I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, what is that, number one?
Okay, in other words, evolution believes that you start with an amoeba and you add random energy, and then you get a more ordered organism from it. And that defies the laws of physics.
That's a very simplistic way to look at it. It is.
You can't find any system on the universe that exists where you get a more ordered system after random energy was added to it.
How do you know? How do you know an organism? How do you know that an organism put in the right circumstances, the right temperatures, the right chemical bath, cannot change into something else? Organisms are constantly mutating and changing into other things.
No, they're not. You don't have any evidence of that whatsoever.
Don't viruses change?
Look at viruses. They change, they mutate, they adapt.
Sure they do.
and then the second.
Hold on, but
well, let's go to the second thing.
All right, yeah, okay.
Might as well just go to the second.
Yeah, you didn't address the viruses, but go ahead.
Okay, the second idea is that they've shown through the discovery of DNA that you know that every person has two parents, and you can look at their DNA, you can prove that they're their parents through DNA.
Right.
Okay, based on that, and based on the number of people that exist on the earth, they've proven that you get the one person if you go back 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, depending on how big a generation is.
Let me ask you a question, buddy, about the DNA. It's now that you are in faith, you're using this scientific evidence. Don't you think it's a little selective, the way you're using scientific evidence?
No. How are you going to get around DNA? How are you going to get around that?
I simply don't. I don't buy what you're saying.
How do you get around carbon dating?
And you got around the viruses.
How do you get? All right, DNA. How do you get around carbon dating?
Why don't you have a real creation scientist?
Oh my God, I can't do this.
How do you get around carbon dating then? If we
carbon dating is all guessing.
It's guessing. It's guessing. Taking a definite. Wait.
Hold on, let him finish, dude.
Wait, dude, you're just talking over me. I let you talk about DNA. Now let me talk about carbon dating. Carbon dating.
It's guessing.
No. Let me fucking comment. Holy shit! I let you talk about DNA. Now let me comment about fucking carbon dating. There is a breakdown of radiation. It has a set half-life to it.
Half-life, thank you.
Yes,
I understand half-life.
it is set.
Thank you very much.
And well,
you know what?
What happens is they can backdate how old something is by how broken down the radioactivity in that is through carbon dating. How is that guessing, sir?
Because it makes no sense on the Earth. You have levels. Listen, you have levels of different types of elements at different parts of the Earth. You have gold at certain levels of the Earth, and you can't explain how they get there based upon carbon dating. If you have uranium in a certain part of the Earth, they find it in all different levels of the Earth. If you had a breakdown of what you're talking about, everything would be at the same level.
No, it's not, because everything contains, everything has a radiological principle to it that is different than other things. Then they have had these bases over the years. They know how long a half-life is with certain elements.
Stop interrupting. Holy shit, dude.
You really do just interrupt.
People listen to you, and then you interrupt.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
Yeah, that's how it works. You get your point out, and then the opposing...
Keep babbling.
The opposing
keep
point...
babbling.
You just talk over.
Because your argument is terrible. You couldn't answer the viruses. You just fucking ignored that. Things don't mutate. Things don't mutate. And then we mentioned viruses, and you shut your mouth. Explain viruses not mutating. I'll be an asshole.
Go ahead.
Explanation for how the AIDS virus changes over and over and over again. You can't explain it either. Scientists can't explain it either. I could sit here and tell you that I believe it's God.
It's a living organism adapting to its surroundings. That's what it is. It doesn't have to be explained. You don't have to know why it does it. It does it. I have faith. See? It's faith that a living organism will adapt and change depending on its surroundings. So whether it's an organism or whether it's a primate that is now adapting to its surroundings, it has to move locations for food. It picks up things and learns. It adapts to its surroundings and becomes something else.
No.
All right. Well, you win.
There you go. Good argument. No.
2 fucking seconds. Just listen up for 1 second, okay?
You know what? You've been a cunt. You've been a cunt since you fucking called up, and I'm tired of listening to you. I'm tired of listening to you.
We're listening to you.
You've been a twat since the moment you called this show. We've been listening to you, and you've been a fucking baby and a little twat.
Can we ask him how old Earth is? How old is Earth there, Scott?
Well, this is what we come down to. We come down to faith again. I believe it's between 6,000 and 10,000 years.
Yeah. Okay.
God bless.
All right. Fine. You believe that? Okay.
Wow. I
don't even
know what to say.
Fair enough. You believe that?
Anthony watches Discovery Channel all the time. They just had a show on there that showed that they have evidence of people walking around with dinosaurs. They found thousands of fossils.
No, they don't.
There's no evidence of that.
They don't because they didn't. Because they didn't.
Channel, dude. It was on there. I watched the whole special.
Well, it was probably a special on creationism. It was probably a special on creationism.
Doesn't it bother you?
It wasn't a special on. How do you explain the Grand Canyon being carved out of the Colorado River, and in a few thousand years that happened? How about it? It took millions of years to carve out the Grand Canyon by water, by the Colorado River. How do you explain that?
Now you're going to laugh at me again, but why couldn't that have been the Great Flood? Why couldn't that have been the flood that's in every civilization? Every civilization has a record of some type of flood that happened in life. Why couldn't the Grand Canyon have been carved out by that?
Because we've seen floods since then, things like, again, smaller floods like Katrina, other things, and they don't leave damage that resembles anything
it's
like
erosion over time is what the Grand Canyon, the Colorado River,
wasn't.
It's erosion over time. How do you explain glaciers that took millions of years to recede and make our landscapes? How is that explained? It's just time. It's shit that needed millions of years to happen.
So is this
You're throwing out millions of years like it means something. That's just something that you bought.
Scott,
Scott,
Danny found something about your Discovery show.
I don't know what show you watch on Discovery Channel, but I tried finding it, and what I did come across was there are some dinosaur myths, like a little quiz that little kids could take on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
And this question is the first one. It says, early humans and dinosaurs lived at the same time. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit true and get a big red X for my answer.
Oh, sorry.
Despite what you
So
may have seen
don't use the Discovery Channel's name like that for your own purposes.
Sorry.
Look up the History Channel. Then.
Sorry.
Oh, it's a different channel.
Wrong channel?
Sorry.
No. Look it up.
Dude, look up the Sci-Fi Channel.
I'm amazed.
Turd.
You're just dude. I don't have any agenda. I don't have any agenda, pro God or against God. When I'm talking about this stuff, I'm not too sure where I stand on it. You have 100%. Like, there's something at stake for you if your information is proven wrong. There's nothing at stake for me negative. But I would like to believe, brother, that God fucking made the planet and that you're right. I would really like to believe that.
That would rule.
It would be great to think that when I talk, God is actually listening to me. I don't know where I stand on it. But you have so much at stake in this point being made or not made.
No.
Yes, you do. Of course you do. Your entire belief system.
Yeah, it is your entire belief system.
Don't deny that.
Let me respond to what you just said, okay? I don't need you to believe me.
I don't mean me. I didn't say me. So don't respond to something I didn't say.
Fine. But here's the thing. I want the conversation to be that you have faith and I have faith, and that's what it comes down to.
Our faith is based more on scientific fact. Scientists have been doing this for years. Your church, for years and years, has just been using faith, and recently is twisting around. Well, whatever
you do,
has been twisting around scientific fact for its own purposes. DNA. All of a sudden now the church is talking DNA,
exactly,
and fossils and
organized or whatever.
Whatever it is,
you know what he's talking about.
It's your faith is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you going to church. Who cares about that? I'm talking about recently the church, religion, whatever you want to call it, is using scientific fact and twisting it to its own purposes.
Because they can't ignore it anymore.
They can't. They can't refute it. They can't.
That's not true. Of
course it's true.
Secular circles, a lot of people that get into science, biology, and I know some biologists that are like this. They get into the field because they want to disprove that God exists right from the get-go. Now, there are plenty of scientists out there that are from the other side. Now, you have not listened to these people because generally the shows and the places that you get your information from are places that run in secular circles. But a lot of times they have to change their theories because they find something that disproves their theories. They found a civilization in Japan that predates the pyramids, and it's thrown everybody into a tizzy where they can't explain the breakdown, which is what you talked about.
Dude, if they found a civilization that predates the pyramids,
of course
I think there were civilizations that predated the pyramids. I don't think that's a big shock.
There
was Neanderthal civilizations and Cro-Magnon and little things like. I don't think
there
that's
were civilizations in China during the.
Cro-Magnon is a theory. There's no evidence of Cro-Magnon man.
Oh, is there? What about ancient tools and things like arrowheads and things that the cave paintings, things that they used. Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal.
Neanderthal man are just shots at the missing link. They had never found any.
Not missing link. No, they have bones. They have skeletal remains of the Neanderthal man. Yes, they do. They do.
They don't have any fossils
that were found around their simple tools that they used to.
Look that up because
holy shit!
You're denying
there are skeletal remains.
You want to believe that exists? Go ahead, but it doesn't exist.
You can't believe it because it kills your theory, dude.
Wow.
It destroys your entire belief system.
That's not true.
You're saying you don't think that they have bones.
It comes down to faith.
No,
you've never seen in museums a skull of a Cro-Magnon man that was found around tools that he used? That's a rumor?
It's absolutely a rumor.
I've seen them. I've seen them. I have not. I was in the museum. I was in the Museum of Natural History here in New York, one of the biggest, the premier museum of natural history. What is it? What was I looking at?
What was he looking at?
What was I looking at?
Some kind of art project that someone made.
Sometimes they do that. They have a big farce with
paper mache, right?
The big farce.
It's paper mache from a third grade.
So it's a lie. So those bones that are pawed over by scientists that visit the museum, take these bones out, study them, do carbon dating on them. That's all a big conspiracy.
The scientists are part of the conspiracy.
Then what is it?
Let's get Jesse Ventura.
Then what's the museum displaying if I saw Neanderthal man bones?
It's just what Jim said before. It comes down to faith. It's where you start. When scientists get into their field, a lot of times...
What is it that he's looking at?
What was I looking at?
Stop with your theories. What is it?
What was I looking at?
I'm telling you that there's been a lot of different times where there's been people that have produced bones. It just ends up being a giant farce. It ends up being a ridiculous thing that they just took some other bone and they put stuff together.
No, we understand those.
Wow.
I've seen those. They're hoaxes.
So you're admitting it.
Yes. I've seen some hoaxes, but I'm not saying the Neanderthal. That's fact. They found them in little communities of bones with simple tools around them in excavation sites. They've found this.
Right, and we already talked about DNA and how you can prove that there was only one person between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago.
It's nonsense.
No,
it's nonsense.
That's crazy
you just keep
nonsense.
hanging on to that.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
You believe what you want to believe. That's fine.
I'm listening to you. It's nonsense what you're saying.
I believe that's ridiculous. The point of my call is just to say that it's faith on both sides, and you want to believe.
Tell yourself whatever you want.
No. It's faith on your side.
No,
it's science on our side.
You believe that?
It's science. It's backed up with science. You're using science to try to back up your side of it. We're using science to uncover the truth. Fact.
You're not even using science, man. You couldn't add the virus question.
I gave you two laws of physics in the beginning.
No, you didn't give me laws of physics. You didn't give me laws of physics.
So the chaos proof means nothing.
It's amazing.
The law of thermodynamics says that you can't get matter. You can't create matter from energy means nothing.
No, it's a big farce created by some crazy scientist.
It's
big farce. It's really selective what you believe in science. And
it's been disproven.
And you think that scientists all over the world are collaborating.
Let me give you your answer. No.
You seem to think that all scientists. This is why, by the way, people can't stomach religious people.
Yep.
Because you talk over everybody.
I'm not religious.
Whatever you are. Whatever you are.
You are. You don't even know you are? If you believe this drivel, you are.
You try to label me into a religious circle, and then as soon as I say that I'm not religious, you change it.
But you believe this drivel, so you have to be.
You want to call it drivel? That's fine.
It's shit, dude. Your belief system is shit.
All right, Scott.
One, so you guys win because you get to yell louder than I do and call.
You've talked over
Apparently
everybody.
not.
You wouldn't even. You know what? You little rude cunt. You wouldn't even say hello when you got on the phone. You were so hyped up. I said hi to you twice. Fuck you.
Call me me a rude cunt.
Because I said hi to you twice.
You're a rude cunt.
I said hi to you twice.
Anywhere. I'm giving you.
It's because you didn't start with a hi.
Dude, I said hello to you twice. Keep babbling. Keep babbling. Keep babbling, Scott.
All right. Thank you, Scott. All right, Scott.
Keep babbling.
Thank you.
Yeah, Neanderthals are a big ruse. What a dummy.
I blame the fucking Flintstones.
But again, that's what you deal with.
Yeah, how does he explain that?
That irrational fucking... His belief system is so tied. Keep yelling at the radio. I know he's yelling at his radio.
Yeah.
No, wait. Do you know how many girls he probably could have fucked if he wouldn't have been such a dummy?
Are you yelling
at? I guarantee you, I've done better with women than you've ever had in your life.
Oh, wow. Shit!
Now you're all right.
Shit.
Okay.
Out of everything you've said, that fact is the worst.
I'll give you the Neanderthal argument if you don't delude yourself into thinking that. The prostitutes count?
For you, maybe.
I know, stupid. That was the joke.
Oh my God!
All right, Scott, you got Jimmy with that one.
Yeah, good one, Scott.
I don't know what to tell you on that.
You listen to the right show.
Very good. You got it.
I've done better with girls than you ever have. Good one. Good one.
Let's go to Steve in Michigan. Steve.
Hey guys,
Hey.
I just gotta say, a douche like this drives me nuts.
He's a douche.
I'm a Christian. We don't have all the answers. None of these guys have the answers. Who knows? God could have invented evolution. Why can't they just admit they don't know and just have whatever faith?
Yeah, why couldn't a greater entity, a great power, God, whatever you want to call it, have put in place the makings for evolution? And then knowing that cells will divide, viruses will divide, things will adapt and become other things. Why can't that be part of the grand plan?
I'm a fan that God was a scientist. I like that theory. The greatest scientist of all time.
Yes.
Or why
not?
Why does God have to be a slave to a 7-day work week? Why does God have to? Why does a 24-hour? Why are fucking religious people such literal irritants where they think that 24 hours has to be what God meant by a day instead of realizing it could have been symbolic?
God's day is probably one of our millions of years.
Exactly.
The definition could have been very different.
Yeah.
But they hang on to that literally.
All right, Steve. Thank you, sir.
Literally. No, God meant 24 hours. Because God has what? Does he use military time or regular time?
Yeah.
Megan in D.C. Megan.
And with the whole universe, he just uses Earth's rotation around the sun as his time base.
Of course he does.
That's God's stopwatch.
Of course he does.
It's the Earth going around the sun. Never mind like Pluto going around the sun or some other planet or the universe itself.
Or Jupiter for 10 hours, a 10-hour rotation.
How self-centered to think you're the one God bases everything on.
It really is a self-obsession to think that this creator of the universe really has exactly 24 hours a day period.
Yeah.
What do you think the rest of the stuff out there is, besides a big rumor, obviously?
Yeah.
What do you think, what do you think a light year is?
It's far.
Oh, what children.
He created the universe, right? Not just Earth. All right, let's go to Megan in D.C. Megan.
You're right, children.
Hey, guys, I have got a cold, so I'm not going to sound that good. Oh. This guy is so infuriating. I don't even know where to start. First of all, one of his main points, he's using... If he has no faith in science, why is he using the law of physics to back up his main point about energy?
Yeah, because they have ran out of answers to science. They've run out of just being able to say, well, that's your opinion, because science has become so good at proving things that now they use the science that evolutionists use to promote creationism because they have no other choice. So they take it all half-assed, twist it around, and use it for their own purposes.
Because for years, religion just completely flew in the face of science.
Right.
And then they started to look so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so stupid that they had to do. It's almost like addressing. And I know this guy saying who called in said he was not religious, so I'm not going to say he's a Christian or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe he believes he's not. Fine. Maybe he's not. But like for years they denied the sexual abuse, and then they finally had to address it.
Right.
This is they denied what science said, and then they finally had to address it because they realized how stupid they looked.
Yeah.
And they did look stupid, and they still do.
All right, Megan.
6,000 years.
Science, but they're just 500 years behind the time because he's still trying to use science to say that we shouldn't trust science.
Yeah, he did try to make that argument. But what about mummies, too? Can't we prove that mummies are pretty fucking
carbon
old?
dating. They're 500 years old.
Carbon dating's a guess. Is it a guess, really? Do you know the science behind carbon dating? It's not exact. They can't narrow it down to, the nearest tens of years. for the most part. But as far as millions of years go, yeah, they get a pretty good fucking hit on that. Pretty sweet range.
All right, Megan, thank you. Hey, the Christians are checking in. We got Eric in Ohio. Eric, sorry.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hi. Hey. You're speaking for a lot of Christians right now. Go ahead.
No, don't put that on me. Hey, I'm a Christian with a lot of questions, and this guy's a nutcase. He's, I probably don't fit in real well at any church because I have the same questions you guys have. Mm-hmm. I have faith, but I also have faith in science. So, I don't just turn a blind eye to it and go, oh, no. That guy's an idiot.
I think
the rest of us look like idiots.
He was a twat. The minute he got on the phone, it's weird. When you say hi to somebody twice and they just barrel into it, the guy's a twat. And I know you're listening, and that's why I hated you more than any reason.
And I think part of the faith is the fact of knowing that, look, I don't have all the answers, but I have faith. I have enough faith that I don't need all the answers. These guys now are trying to come up with answers. Like, you could just say, my faith tells me that there is a God. I don't believe in evolution. I believe in creationism. I can't tell you why. It's just my faith. I'll accept that. I'll fucking accept that. But don't try to then take the science and come up with the answers that your whole faith base is that you don't have the answers. That's why it's called faith.
But again, I think that people who are creationists got so sick of looking like assholes in every debate with somebody who had science that they had to come in and shoehorn all this stuff in, and it's just nonsensical.
I cannot believe he would not accept the fact that Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon man bones were found in family settings with groups of people around tools, arrowheads, cutting tools, hides, just whatever was preserved with them, depending on where they were, the weather, mud, ice, whatever it is. They found these people.
He just has to believe that people are special. And that's what a lot of that is. It's this self-obsession with, you're not. You know what you are? You're a fucking lump of ooze that took billions of years to develop into mediocrity. Yeah. That's what you are. Sorry, pal. That's what you are.
Wow, did you just summarize that?
That is it.
Sorry about that, but you know what? The sun doesn't revolve around us. We revolve around it.
You're trying to say we're not that important, Jimmy?
We're fucking lumps of mediocrity. That really is it.
And that's why we distract ourselves at
sacks of goop
all the time.
And it doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. It really doesn't, to me, mean that. I just don't think our idiotic interpretation of what the Creator is correct.
Right, not yet anyway.
I'm not self-obsessed enough to think that when you look into it's space dust, which is they say, to take 12 billion light years or 10 billion light years from here, that whoever made all of this said 24 hours, let me stick these things that are 5'8" that look just like me on this wonderful place. Will you shut the fuck up? And we'll throw dinosaurs to run around with them and then die off and I'll flood. Shut up. No, you won't.
Yeah, the big flood. Why didn't they think the dinosaurs were worthy of the ark? Were they too big?
I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe that's why the flood was, to get rid of all those pests. Maybe dinosaur shit was too difficult to clean up out of the streets when they were going to visit the Lord's house.
And did one guy build a boat and put 2 animals of every kind
He probably
on
got
it?
30 animals. He's probably some nut. I bet you Noah was a hoarder. I bet you half the animals were dead. I bet animal shit and all this weird stuff and little cat carcasses.
Hoarder.
All right, why don't we take a break? We got lots to do today.
Damn, man.
No, he made us just look just like him.
That's a hell of a way to start
big
the
white
show.
beard. God's a big white guy with a big white beard.
Hey, they
beard.
They got museums and everything where you got fucking dinosaurs with saddles on them, and because people rode dinosaurs.
Yeah, they rode dinosaurs. Could you imagine the American Museum of Natural History? You walk in, and that giant T-Rex that's in the lobby
has a saddle on it. The Creation Museum has just that.
Yeah.
As soon as you walk in. A dinosaur with a saddle on it to prove that, man walked with dinosaurs.
I would love to believe that. I really would. I would love that guy, as much as I disliked him personally, to be right.
Does the Catholic Church believe in all that?
I don't know. The guys in the Vatican are way too smart to buy that nonsense.
Right.
They're smart dudes at that level. I don't know.
Yeah.
They may argue it, but I don't think they would argue it as vehemently as him because I think that they understand it's more like a business at this point.
All right.
I don't know how they would handle that.
I'm on ChristianAnswers.net.
Okay.
And they ask the question, did Noah take dinosaurs on the ark?
Yeah.
And it says that the Bible does not list the names of every creature on the ark.
Oh.
So dinosaurs must have been included.
Yeah, dinosaurs are there.
And it says right here, there's evidence. It says there's evidence that dinosaurs lived after the flood. For instance, Job saw Behemoth after the flood.
And what's that Genesis concert?
There's evidence right there.
Is that a Genesis concert?
No, that's from Genesis.
That was June 19th and 20th. Have you seen? Did you see him this summer?
Job saw the Job.
It says Job saw Behemoth after the flood. Behemoth.
It's probably a chick he fucked. Some fatty.
I think I fucked her too.
Yeah, exactly. Believe me, she's Facebooked me many times.
The ark was a very large ship designed especially by God for its important purpose. It was so large and complex that it took Noah 120 years to build.
Of course it did.
Noah used this time to warn people about the flood and convince them to turn to God and be saved with his family.
Because as everybody knows, long ago, you lived longer.
Oh, yeah, 120 years was nothing, mere bag of shit.
Noah's teeth must have been a disaster. It's hard to keep your teeth in these times. I mean, his teeth must have been awful after 90 or 100 years.
He had bad breath?
Noah had horrible breath.
Unbelievable.
All right, why don't we break? We got lots to do today. A lot of guests coming in and blah, blah, blah. But first, this.
See, religious people are just fucking stupid. There's how the world was created, which everyone, scientists and rational thinking people believe, and that's the Big Bang Theory, and then evolution kicked in. There's little microorganisms made like a tadpole, and that tadpole learned how to walk or something, and then there was some animals in between, and then fucking monkeys, and then us. And that's science. Then there's how religious people believe it was created, and that's creationism. They believe that God put two white people in the jungle without sunscreen, and they fucked, and now we got people. And we got black people, Arab people, Oriental people, and for the amount of inbreeding, very few retards. It seems so plausible. See, the fact is that there's evolution in the Bible, right? Jesus was 4'7". 4'7". He was a normal-sized guy. Everyone was short back then. We're all taller now because of evolution. That's how Jesus could feed the people with 2 fish. Little fucking people, big fuck-off fish. So this is Jesus here, right? He's a little tiny Arab Jew. He looks like Super Mario. Now, if Jesus is this big, that means his cross was maybe that big. Now, I'm not saying I'm better than Jesus. But if I was on that little cross, my feet would be on the ground and I'd fucking live. So what killed Jesus cannot kill me. I am way more powerful. Not only would I live, but I would lift the cross out of the ground and beat up all the little Roman bastards. And history would be very different. Thousands of years before Jesus, there was a guy called Noah. And Noah built a boat. And Noah lived to be 950 years old. But they never mention that in sermons because we might think it's bullshit. And Noah was thousands of years before Jesus. So Noah's about this big. There's little Noah with his long hair and his great big beard. He looks like a glorified chess piece. And he built a boat, and they put all the animals on the boat, and we had 2 of each animal, and he lived in like Afghanistan back when it was a God-loving place. And all the animals came there and shit. They all made it there in like a week, all the kangaroos and all that type of stuff. Then he worked out some type of refrigeration system to keep the polar bears cold and the lions hot. And he made the door on the ark very small so that the dinosaurs couldn't get in because he was a thinker. Then he had storage areas for all their delicate diets, because we all know what picky fucking eaters pandas are. Aren't pandas a bunch of cunts? I'm done with pandas, and I'll tell you why, right? Every fucking living creature loves pandas. The panda doesn't have a natural predator on the planet, and they're dying out because they're fucking dicks. Fuck them, let them die out. The pandas don't fuck each other, therefore they don't have babies, therefore we've got no fucking pandas. They're dead weight, let's lose the fucking pandas. We've tried. We have fucking tried. We, the human race, put pandas in cages together and try to help them fuck, but they don't. We go, there's a panda, go fuck the panda. And they just look at each other. You put me in a cage with anything. Anything. And after a week, I'll fuck it. Do you think pandas know they're Chinese and they're taking the one-child policy too serious?